Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the lives of some of the most brilliant minds in human history, the ancient Indian scholars or rishis. We're going to take a journey through their monumental discoveries across science, medicine, engineering, and statecraft. You see, these individuals didn't just passively observe the world around them, they systematically decoded it. And in doing so, they left behind a legacy that fundamentally shaped human progress.
Here's our roadmap for This Explainer. 1. The Ancient Indian Scholar. 2. Medical Marvels by Sushruta. 3. Statecraft and Historical Governance. 4. Engineering and Architectural Feats. 5. The Numerical Genius of Aryabhata. And finally, 6. An Endless Legacy.
Section 1. The Ancient Indian Scholar. Now, you might be thinking, a rishi back in this era was just a philosopher meditating in isolation somewhere, right? Actually, scratch that. They were incredibly practical problem solvers. They wrote shastras and samhitas, which were these incredibly rigorous, highly structured treatises, whether it was detailing complex surgical steps, mapping out the cosmos, or even structuring civil justice. They were producing actionable knowledge. This knowledge literally became the engine of their entire civilization. To put that into perspective, just think about this staggering scale of this intellectual golden age. We are talking about a sustained period of innovation spanning from the 4th century BCE all the way into the 12th century CE. From Kautilya's strategies in the BCE era to the historical chronicles of the Rajakarangini in the 12th century CE, we're looking at over a millennium of continuous, highly advanced academic contributions by these ancient polymaths. Section 2. Medical Marvels by Sushruta. Let's talk about this Sushruta Samhita, because the methodology of ancient Indian surgery is documented here with absolute rigor. Take the preoperative preparation, for instance. Sushruta specifically directed that a patient be kept nil orally, meaning they had to fast before a procedure. Yes, the whole no food after midnight rule we use for modern anesthesia, that is literally thousands of years old. This was followed by the Ashtadhyayi Shastrakarma, 8 distinct surgical acts that cover what we'd recognize as modern therapeutics, and finished up with a very strict post-operative recovery regimen. And this framework built some highly specialized treatments. For ailments like Bhagna, which encompasses fractures and dislocations, the management involved traction, reduction, and immobilization. Basically, exactly what we call physiotherapy today. For issues like arthritis or hemorrhoids, he prescribed parasurgical procedures like cautery, alkaline medicines, and excision. So this wasn't some primitive trial-and-error situation. It was a highly systematic discipline pioneered by the sage we now recognize as the father of surgery. Section 3. Statecraft and Historical Governance. Moving from the human body to the body politic, we have Kautilya, who is also widely known as Chanakya. He lived in the 4th century BCE and authored the Arthashastra. This document is essentially the ultimate ancient playbook for political administration and economic prosperity. And it doesn't just offer vague philosophical advice. We're talking about a granular strategic manual. It covers the exact duties of a ruler, how to implement economic policies, military strategies, and even the covert role of spies and intelligence in maintaining state security and diplomatic relations. What's really fascinating here is how this governance was structured to balance massive central power with local autonomy. At the very top, in the Raja, the king acted as the guardian of dharma, or moral law, and he was advised by a highly structured Mantri Parishad, which was a council of ministers. But power wasn't solely hoarded at the top. Down at the grama, the village level, local governance was managed by a gramadhyaksha, a headman, or a panchayat, a council of 5 elders. It was this brilliant grassroots democratic system that efficiently maintained harmony right on the ground. Section 4. Engineering and Architectural Feats. I absolutely love this dramatic account from the Rajakarangini, an ancient text chronicling the history of Kashmir. It describes the master engineer Suya saying, having thus raised the land from the water like another primeval boar, keeping out the water by means of circular dikes, he gave to these villages the appearance of round bowls. Suya literally transformed waterlogged, unlivable lands through incredibly advanced irrigation. He tested soil drying times to perfectly engineer watercourses tailored for each village. It's public works engineering at its absolute finest. We also see stunning architectural benchmarks in the epic texts, representing the ultimate imaginative heights of ancient engineering. Take the fabled Pushpaka Vimana from the Valmiki Ramayana. It's described as a divinely constructed, jewel-decorated mansion in the sky, complete with golden stairs and crystal windows. It really highlights a deep, deep cultural obsession with complex, monumental, and aerodynamic structural design. Section 5. Numerical Genius of Aryabhata. Let's pivot to the cosmos and the mathematics required to actually understand it, which were incredibly advanced. In 499 CE, Aryabhata authored the Aryabhatiya, where he used what he called half-chords. Now, this is the exact precursor to what we call signs in modern trigonometry. He established a highly accurate table of 24 signs given in minutes of arc. For astronomical calculations, this was a massive pioneering innovation, a real game changer.
But here's the best part. Aryabhata didn't just hand people a list of numbers to blindly memorize. He provided precise, step-by-step algorithms. He gave systematic rules for calculating subsequent sign differences, starting from the very first sign. This proves a profound foundational understanding of mathematical series and relationships, making his knowledge entirely scalable and reproducible for generations of scholars to come.
Which brings us to a really fascinating historical curveball presented by his work. Did Aryabhata maintain that the Earth rotates on its axis while the stars, the asterisms, remain stationary in space? Well, the evidence in the Aryabhatiya suggests he boldly did. This was a massive historical discrepancy because it totally defied the common traditions of his time, which held that the Earth was perfectly stationary. Aryabhata's advanced theoretical models of a rotating Earth showcased a scientific mind completely unbound by contemporary dogma. Section 6. An Endless Legacy. These ancient scholars, these rishis, they didn't just dabble in abstract thought. Whether it was Susruta establishing the laws of surgery, Kautilya drafting the blueprints of public administration, or Aryabhata mapping out the heavens, they built lasting institutions. They laid the absolute bedrock of structured ethical science. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this thought. If these ancient polymaths could map the human body, the state, and the stars thousands of years ago, what other lost knowledge is still hiding in these ancient texts, just waiting to be rediscovered?